Ready?
Yes.
Okay, we're ready to record. We will go ahead and begin. We want to welcome you all out to our final commission meeting of the year of 2015. We are grateful that you're all here to participate today, and we appreciate your involvement in our community. And being here in some way tells me that you're involved in many ways. So we're grateful that you're here. As I just alluded to, we generally do not have a commission meeting between Christmas and New Year's, and so this is our last one, and we'll see you back in January. Because of that, we have an awful long agenda today, so it's going to be a fun one to settle in and enjoy the Christmas spirit and share that and be involved in the meeting together. So thank you all for being here. We want to welcome with us today Andy Alamanza. Did I say it correctly?
Alamanza, yes.
Okay, good. We appreciate him. He's here to offer our invocation. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Paige Greenhall from the Commission staff, and our Thought of the Day by Commissioner Gibson. So, Andy, you're up.
Let's pray. Father, we do thank you for many things this morning, but most importantly, we thank you for Christmas. We thank you for what it represents, that you love the world so much that you gave your only begotten Son. And we thank you for that. We thank you that we can gather together at this time with family. We can enjoy that time, Lord. It's all a gift from you, and we thank you for that. Thank you for this meeting, for the government that you've given to us, and the freedoms that we have as Americans. And Lord, I pray that you would bless this meeting now, that you would give wisdom as the discussions are made and decisions are made. I pray that you would help our city, help the city of Ogden. Lord, help us to improve. Lord, I pray that you keep everyone safe as they travel during this Christmas season, even today with the weather being as it is. And may everything that's done bring honor and glory to you. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate that beautiful prayer, Andy, and Paige, thank you for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. This is a wonderful time of year, and it's, of course, one of my favorites. I've said before, I love Thanksgiving, but Christmas is great as well. It's a special time, and one that we get the opportunity to reflect a little bit on the important things in our lives. This is the first Christmas in a little while where all my family's been together, and I'm excited about that. We had our first daughter is back in our neighborhood now, and our second daughter is been studying at BYU Hawaii, and so she's been too far away for her dad. But we have her home with us, and she got home to open a mission call to Malaga, Spain. So I'm going to enjoy this couple of weeks, couple of months, a lot more, I think, because I'm not sure I'm ready for her to disappear on me yet for a year and a half. But it's a great reminder of the Christmas season and the things that are important to us. And with that, I want to share a quote today that is one that I came across that I thought resonated with some of my thoughts. It's by Thomas S. Monson. It's from a talk that he gave not too long ago, and it's just a couple paragraphs from that talk. It says this: Among our resolutions for this year, did we resolve to make time in our lives and room in our hearts for the Savior? No matter how successful we may have been thus far in such a resolution, I am confident that we all wish to do better. This Christmas season is the perfect time to examine and renew our efforts. In our busy lives, with ever so many other things competing for our attention, It is essential that we make a conscious, committed effort to bring Christ into our lives and into our homes. It is vital that we, like the wise men from the East, remain fixed upon his star and come to worship him. Down through the generations of time, the message from Jesus has been the same. To Peter and Andrew by the shores of Galilee, he said, "Follow me." To Philip came the call, "Follow me." To the Levite who sat at receipt of customs came the instruction, "Follow me." And to you and to me, if we but listen, will come that same beckoning invitation of "Follow me." As we follow in his footsteps today, and as we emulate his example, we will have opportunities to bless the lives of others. Jesus invited us to give of ourselves. Behold, the Lord requireth the heart and a willing mind. Is there someone for whom you should provide Christmas service this Christmas? Is there one who awaits your visit? And that last line is the one that really sticks out to me as the earlier statements kind of build up to. And as I have pondered that simple question, the answer is clearly yes. There is much more that I can and should do. There are those who I have the opportunity to serve that I have put off, and I think the taxpayers get a good deal out of me because I work my tail off. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to do a little bit better here the next couple of weeks in forgetting about my job and serving some others wherever I can. So I hope that each of us can take that to heart and take those opportunities to serve, because they truly are way all around us, those opportunities, and they definitely give us the opportunity to feel the love of our Savior as we lend a helping hand to those who might be in need. So I hope that you will all take the opportunity to serve in some way, shape, or form over the next little while, and that it becomes a habit that we continue on throughout the year, so that we can truly emulate and follow our Savior. So that's the thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas to all of you, by the way. Some of you might leave before I get the chance to say that at the end, so Merry Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
If you leave early, you don't get the Carrie Gibson hug. Just saying.
Yeah, everybody's going to leave.
Just saying.
That might not be the service they were hoping for.
Exactly.
All right, let's go to our consent. Oh, excuse me.
Presentation.
Presentation. This is a cool one. We have a presentation of the food drive donations to the Catholic Community Services, and we want to have Marisha come up. She is the representative from CCS that is here today, and as we have done in the past, our office requested to all departments that they engage in a food drive to help with the efforts of Catholic Community Services and the good work that they do to help our community to improve and meet some of those needs that are so prevalent and maybe a little more enhanced at this Christmas season. And so we did so. A lot of the stuff was, a lot of the turkeys and such that were donated, of course, had to get immediately to refrigeration and then to the individuals who will be needing them, and so they've been picked up. So in times past, we've had a nice spread down here of some of the stuff that's been donated, and we don't have that today because we sent it all to CCS yesterday.
That's right.
We did have some more come in today, though, so we'll have to send that with you as well. It's up in our office. But we are... Oh, is there some more? Is it there? Okay, so there is a little bit there. We do have... We're happy to report that, as in past years, our employees were extremely generous and kind and thoughtful and willing to participate in this. We do kind of put out a little bit of a contest, and I have to recognize the Department of Community and Economic Development under Sean Wilkinson's leadership for winning that contest. So we'll follow up with something fun, a pizza party or something.
Didn't they win it last time too?
They did. But not to knock anyone else, because everyone participated in an extremely meaningful way, and it's just, I think it's made a difference. What we're being told is that we had over 25 turkeys, over 10 hams, whole bunch of canned goods, groceries, and some cash. And by the way, the last bit of cash came in to my office here a few minutes ago, so I'm going to hand that to you right now, okay? Okay. So, anyway, we want to thank each and every one of our employees. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We have the best employees that are possible. They are, our employees care about what they do so much, and they are just extremely good at what they do, but they're also extremely caring. And if we put out the call, or if sometimes, a lot of times they do it on their own, but it's fun to see if a call is put out that we want to do something together. They just come together in such an amazing way. And I just want to thank each and every one of them. I hoped for you department heads that are here and leaders in our organization that you'll go back to your respective areas of responsibility and tell them thank you from the bottom of our hearts for the service that they have provided, for the good thing that they have done in this particular case. So, Marisha, have you got anything you would like to say?
Well, I just want to thank everybody on behalf of Catholic Community Services, and those turkeys and hams are going to good use right now. So we had 1,600 families from Weber County that were signed up to come and get Christmas baskets with turkeys and hams, and they are there trudging through the snow right now. We've got volunteers that are passing them out, so it does make a huge difference, and those families to be able to come and get those items to be able to go home and prepare their own Christmas meal at home with their families. So thank you so much for caring about our community and for what you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you, Marisha.
Thank you,
Commissioners,
Marisha.
anything you want to add before you let her go?
You do a great job. We appreciate what you do there. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
If I could add really quickly, when Commissioner Gibson talked about this time of the season and service, and as organizations, we do a tremendous amount, but the reality of it is it's individuals, that a single individual can make a difference. And I'd like to commend you, Marisha, for what you do with Catholic Community Services, but you also serve in Rotary and many other functions within our community. Everywhere I happen to go, I run into you, and everywhere Kerry goes, he happens to run into you, and everywhere Matthew goes, he happens to run into you. And so from an
There's like
individual...
3 of her.
Yeah.
Exactly.
From an individual standpoint, we can make a difference as individuals, and you're an example of that, so we'd like to say thank you.
Thank you.
For sure.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christmas to you. Okay, to our business then. We'll move on to our consent items. Item number 1 is a request for approval to ratify purchase orders in the amount of $58,722.30 dated December 15th of 2015. Request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $336,375.16. Request for approval to ratify warrants number 327727 through 327947 in the amount of $2,935,435.19 dated December 15th of 2015. Request for approval of warrants number 327948 through 328144 in the amount of $1,227,233.52. Request for approval of minutes for the meeting held on December 8th of 2015. Request for approval of new beer licenses. Request for the Weber County Solid Waste Facility for approval to surplus several items. Request for approval of ACH payment to U.S. Bank in the amount of $129,856.05 for purchasing card transactions made through the billing cycle ending October 15th of 2015. Request for approval of ACH payment to U.S. Bank in the amount of $141,753.42 for purchasing card transactions made through the billing cycle ending November 15th of 2015. And request for approval of ACH payment to U.S. Bank in the amount of $117,650.02 for purchasing card transactions made through the billing cycle ending December 15th of 2015. Request for approval of retirement agreements by and between Weber County and the following: Leonard Call, Leroy Pierce, Brad D., Shirley Jensen. And request from the Weber County Tax Review Committee for approval to refund $565.41 to the Rose G. Atencio Trust, parcel number 09-378-0001 for an error in the calculation of square footage. Okay, those are our consent items. Commissioners, any questions? Okay, Ricky, anything you'd like to point out?
Bet. I'll give summaries of the POs from December 15th. First, we had 21 for $59,000. 32% of that, or $19,000, was for the garage. That got them a door and supplies and tires. 31%, or $18,000, was for the landfill for equipment, and all other POs during that week were under $10,000. The check run for that last week was 221 checks for $2.9 million 45% of that, or $1.3 million, was for our risk management. That was our annual payment to USIP, our insurance, and to workers' compensation. 25%, or $748,000, went to Public Works for the 3500 West project, and then 12%, or $348,000, was for library construction. Now, for this past week, we had 27 POs for $336,000. 60% of that, or $203,000, was for dispatch for the Entrado maintenance agreement. 12%, or $40,000, went to roads for gravel and supplies, and 9%, or $29,000, was an audio system upgrade to the conference center. For the 197 checks that we issued this week for $1.2 million, 32%, or $399,000 of that, is for the landfill for waste transportation. 11%, or $132,000, went to public defender, and that was the monthly payment that we make there. 8%, or $98,000, is for the jail, and that was primarily food for inmates. 7%, or $91,000, was escrow release for Mallard Springs. 6%, or $68,000, was for the watershed fire protection, the 2015 forest fire agreement. Half of that amount is going to be reimbursed by the state. And 5%, $64,000, is for property management, and that was for a structure demolition.
Woo! Long report today.
Any questions? Okay. All right, let's have a motion to approve those consent items.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent items as read.
Second.
Okay, motion and second then that we approve and adopt those consent items. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Okay, to our action items, and we're going to roll through these. We've got several of these. Most of these we've been working on for quite a while, and some have a second reading. We'll be clear on these. A lot of them won't take a lot of discussion, but feel free to have any discussion that you would like. Once we get down the list, 7 or 8, we've got a few we'll need to discuss a little bit more. But Brooke, welcome aboard. We've got a request for approval of a resolution of the County Commissioners appointing members to the Board of Trustees of the Roy Water Conservancy District.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I know we've got a lot going on today. So the Commission Office received notice that there were 2 positions that would be expiring on January 1st, 2016 for the Roy Water Conservancy District. We posted the notices and published the announcement for seeking applications in the Commission Office as according to the state statute. We received 2 applications, and they were from the current members who are expiring. So Chad Zito from District 3 has applied to be reappointed, and also Daryl Field from District 4 has applied to be reappointed. And these would start January 2nd, 2016, and they would run through for 4 years to January 1st, 2020.
All right. Is there anybody I see folks from the district that are here today. Is there anybody that'd like to say anything, or come on up if you'd like to speak.
Gary Newman, current chairman of the trustees of the Roy Water Conservancy Board. We'd like to thank the commissioners on behalf of the district for your continued support. We'd also like to wish you and the commission a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. Any questions, comments, or action from the commission?
Do we have a resolution number?
47.
Make a motion that we approve and adopt Resolution 47 by the County Commission appointing members to the Board of Trustees of the Roy Water Conservancy District.
I second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second then. Approving resolution number 47. Discussion to that motion. Okay, seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Chair Gibson?
Aye.
You know, if
Motion.
we had to put this at the end of the agenda, we would have kept half our audience here till the end.
Aren't
That's
you
a good,
kind?
that's a good one.
Okay, you guys can go. Just kidding. Thanks for coming out though and supporting us. We
Thank you.
appreciate you guys from Roy.
What I would like to know is what Mr. Harvey did to upset Shelley. Because I noticed that he is at the very end of the agenda today. And I just wondered.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay. Guys, thank you. We appreciate it. And I'm going to, actually, before they leave, I'm going to share a compliment, and I hope it gets passed on, but one of these individuals I had the opportunity to visit with a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about how he lives in an unincorporated pocket of Roy over there that doesn't see our snow plows very often because Roy picks theirs up when they hit the unincorporated pocket sometimes. And he just complimented our roads department on what a great job he thought that they had done this year. He said, "Did you talk to them since I visited with you?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Because I'm telling you, this year they have been through there more than I've seen in the last 20 years. So anyway, will you pass that on, Sean, as a compliment from Mr. Zito about the quality of the snow plowing that's going on? Something that we take for granted unless we don't have it. So we appreciate
I saw them this morning at 5 o'clock on my street. They were out clearing roads and up in the Highlands there, so.
Okay. Thanks for the compliment, and we'll pass it on. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for coming out. You can go, actually. I won't say anything about it anymore. I was just kidding you.
We were just dismissed by Commissioner Bell.
Well, they wanted to get out, but yeah, I understand. I mean, the fun stuff's gonna happen later, but that's okay. You guys will miss it.
All right, Douglas, come on up. Item number 2 is a request for approval of the second reading of the adoption of an ordinance enacting the county option sales and use tax for highways and public transit authorized by House Bill 362 in 2015. And Douglas, we had this on our agenda last week as the first reading. This is the second reading. What would you like us to know in second reading?
As far as I understand, that we haven't had any comments or questions or concerns expressed by the public, so we'd ask you to approve the ordinance enacting the county option sales and use tax for highways and public transit that was authorized in 2015 by House Bill 362.
I think after the election, it's assumed that we would do so.
Yes, sir. Required, actually.
Required.
I'll make a motion that we accept, ordinance number
20.
Accept ordinance number 20, which is the county option sales tax that was voted on by the taxpayers and passed for H Bill 362.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second that we approve and adopt ordinance number 20. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Chair Gibson?
Aye, the motion passes. Thank you. Okay, item number 3, request for approval of an interlocal agreement by and between Weber County and Marriott Slaterville for participation in the Community Development Project Area Plan. Douglas, you're back up again.
Yes, and I just highlight, Commissioner, this is an amended interlocal agreement between the county and Marriott Slaterville City for a community development project area that's actually active and up and moving. That area is located at the northwest corner of effectively 12th Street and I-15 and has moved forward really quickly. We're participating along with all the other property taxing entities in that tax area as an investment in infrastructure. This amended interlocal agreement clarifies a few technical issues that were to provide a tax incentive discovered by our clerk auditor's office after we passed our original agreement in May, and mostly the other taxing entities. There were some inconsistencies among the participation agreements, and so we the county took the lead to make clarifying interlocal agreements across all taxing entities that are participating in this agreement. So our agreement that you approved in May is essentially, the substantive things are essentially the same as this amended interlocal provides participation for 16 years, but the rate of participation is the same at 65%. So any questions?
No, it seems like a fairly minor amendment, doesn't it? And we were
Agreement other than instead of a 15-year duration.
grand opening where we kicked off the construction for this project. It's a great project, and as you said, it's well underway. It's amazing how fast they're moving.
It is. It's a large-scale RV dealership moving from Davis County to Weber County, and it promises to generate significant revenue both for the city and the county.
We're glad they're here.
Do you have a contract number? 412. I'll make a motion that we approve contract 412, entering into an interlocal agreement by and between Weber County and Marriott Slaterville for participation in a CDA.
And I second it.
Okay, motion and second then to approve and adopt contract number 412. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It passes. Okay,
Thank you,
item number
Commissioners.
4. Thanks. Appreciate it, Douglas. Merry Christmas. Item number 4, request for approval of the right-of-way contracts by and between Weber County and the following 3500 West project. For the 3500 West project, Michael and Nedra Atkinson, parcel number 55, Val and Glenna Surridge. Jared.
Good morning,
welcome.
Commissioners.
Good to see you.
Nothing new on this. We're just continuing to get in contracts and get them signed. Just note for the record, the parcel number for Val and Glenna Surridge is parcel number 97.
Okay.
How many properties left on that project?
On 3500 West, I want to, don't quote me, I want to say, I believe there's three left to get signed. So
And on
we're getting
12, how
close.
many?
Again, don't quote me on it, but I believe we're under 20. I think we're in the teens, right around
Cool.
in there.
Good. Okay. Any questions on this one, commissioners?
I'll make a motion, we accept contract number 413 for Michael and Nita Atkinson, 414 for Val and Glenna Surridge for right-of-way contract for 3500 West project.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. Item number 5 is the similar one for 12th Street, the contract between Weber County and Thomas and Linda Cox, parcel number 73.
I'll make a motion, we accept contract 415 with Thomas and Linda Cox, parcel number 73 for the 12th Street right-of-way project.
Okay,
Second.
motion and second. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. Item number 6, same similar thing on item number 6 for Skyline Drive. And this is parcel number 3 and 4 for Scott and Nancy Waterfall. Any discussion or motion on this one?
I'll make a motion, we accept contract number 416 between Weber County and Scott and Nancy Waterfall parcels 3 and 4.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes. That one was 416 and 417, right?
Is there 2 contracts on that one for Waterfall or just one?
Just one, so.
Just
416.
416.
416.
Okay, perfect. All right, Jared, request for approval of an ordinance of a second reading and adoption of a proposed amended roads ordinance. Remind us what this one's about.
If you remember 2 weeks ago, we brought this before you, and it was concerning being able to negotiate up to a second appraisal amount, and we put that approximate amount at $2,500. But that'll give us the ability on the majority of properties that we negotiate through in unincorporated Weber County to be able to have that option. It's an option that I know WACOG is also looking at and trying to get that defined and in place also, but we just wanted to get it from our ordinance standpoint and get us to be able to do that.
It's a good tool. We appreciate you bringing it forward. Ordinance number?
21. I'll make a motion that we accept the second reading of the proposed road ordinance, ordinance number 21.
Second.
Motion and second then that we approve ordinance number 21 for final approval. Discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
Looks like you're done. Merry Christmas.
You too.
Item number 8, Chad, if you'll come on up. Request for discussion and or action on additional projects seeking sponsorship through Weber County Community Development Block Grant Funds in 2016. Chad, welcome.
Welcome, Commissioners. I appreciate you letting me come up here. As part of the CDBG process, nonprofit organizations have the opportunity to come in and request that the county sponsor them to make application for CDBG funds. So we do have 2 nonprofits that have requested us to sponsor them. So as part of that process, we do have to add them to our capital improvement plans for the year. So I'll just read through those projects real quickly. The first one's Weber Housing Authority, and the Weber Housing Authority is interested in land acquisition. They're building a permanent supportive housing complex for unaccompanied disabled homeless households. Weber Human Services will provide case management for the project, and the complex will be 24 to 30 units and will be located outside of Ogden City in Weber County. The second one is people helping people. People helping people are interested in applying for funds for their employment program, which focuses on assisting individuals to become employed and teaching them how to earn a living wage. So also as part of this process, we had some of the projects that are possible in Weber County in the next few years, and one of those is installing ADA compliant sidewalk curb ramps at intersection in the Wheat Ridge subdivision in Weber County. Some of the additional needs are as stated in Weber County's original consolidated plan and capital improvements plan. Weber County continues to support nonprofit organizations. ADA standards are always evolving, and continual rehabilitation of facilities may be necessary to keep facilities compliant with new standards, and Weber County will strive to stay ADA compliant with ADA upgrades projects as may be required. Infrastructure upgrades, pedestrian facilities near and around schools for pedestrian safety and for non-motorized transportation needs. Upgrades to water systems within county parks to ensure safe drinking water, and possible sewer projects. The stormwater flood control is always a critical need because of the nature of floods. The location of flood is not always predictable, and specific project solution is not known. And also implementing a program to assist low-income families or families at risk. So just to let you know, we do have Andy here from the Weber Housing Authority. She was here at the public hearing and did give you a little presentation on her project. We also have Judy Cassenbell, who's here with People Helping People, and she tried to make it around to each of you and kind of give you an idea of her project. So if you don't have any questions for me, or if you'd like to hear from either of them.
I don't have questions for you or them, but I am happy to hear from them if they would like to speak. So, would either of you like to speak?
You. I have no questions either, so.
I did have the opportunity to meet with Judy, and I really appreciate what they're doing and what they're looking for here, and I think it fits in nicely to what we're trying to do. And of course, Andy, we heard her project earlier and appreciate that very much as well. So I think they're both worthy of our support. My humble opinion. So we appreciate it. So how would you like us to proceed, Chad?
So what we'd like to is just adopt these or approve these additions to the county capital improvement plans for 2016 through 2020. So those two projects that we have on there. So
Do you just need a motion, or what do you need on this?
Well, he said a motion
Okay.
to add these to the capital.
I'll make a motion that we add these two items to our capital improvement plan.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you,
thanks,
Chad.
Commissioners. We'll
Thanks,
continue
Chad.
to work with
Merry
them.
Christmas to you.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you,
well.
Andy, for all you do.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for coming.
Item number 9. Linda, welcome. This is a request for approval of the ratification of a 3-year commercial lease agreement by and between Weber County and STKK LLC, DBA Bina Colada Coffee Cafe, for space in the Weber County Southwest Branch Headquarters Library. And Linda, while you're here, give us a quick update as to how the construction is coming and where we're at, when we might be able to get in there.
Well, the building is substantially complete, and the wonderful team of R&O Construction and Prescott Muir Architects and TBA Commissioning have really done an outstanding job. They finished the facility on time and under budget. The books are now being moved in. Some of the furniture starting to arrive, and we're looking forward to hosting the public there for a dedication on Saturday, February 27th. Then we'll be closed the next day, Sunday, and Monday, the 29th, Leap Day, will be our first full day of public service. So we're planning to leap into the future that day with this fantastic new facility. I think the public is going to be very pleased with what the county has accomplished.
Great. Thanks for that update. So talk to us about this particular contract then, Linda.
We're requesting your ratification of this contract for a commercial lease space in that facility. It's a 3-year contract with Bina Colada, who, as you know, runs the commercial lease space at the Pleasant Valley branch. The minimum monthly rent is $1,000, and there's an escalation clause there. Should their gross sales increase to a benchmark level, the library will enjoy a percentage of that annual increase. The contract is very straightforward. It was reworked for us by folks in the county attorney's office. As I alluded to, it was approved by the library board under Commissioner Ebert's guiding hand during their December meeting, so now it awaits your consideration.
Okay. Well, with that, how could we not vote for
I was
that?
going to say, let's vote no then. Okay, any questions for Linda on this contract?
Looks good.
Okay, anybody like to make a motion?
Do we have a number? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matthew.
I'll make a motion, we accept contract 417 by and between Weber County and Bean Colada Coffee Cafe.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve this contract number 417. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It passes. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you,
Looking forward to getting in that new building.
Thank
It's
you.
going to be good. All right, our next item is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Trinity Services Group to provide inmate commissary services, and our presenter is Stephanie Ebert. Welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, the first contract I have is for inmate commissary services with Trinity Services. They are our current contractor, and we went through an RFP process last summer, fall timeframe, and selected them again as the successful bidder for the new contract. The highlights of the changes between our current contract and the new contract. We're currently receiving a 43% commission rate on our commissary sales, and this new contract bumps up to 45% commission that we'll receive. And they've also guaranteed, the previous contract guaranteed us $20,000 a month, and the new contract guarantees $25,000 a month. So we're pleased with that and ask for your approval for this contract.
Any questions? Like it's
I'll make a motion, we
Together?
accept contract 418 by and between Weber County and Trinity Services for inmate commissary.
Second.
okay. Motion and second to approve and adopt contract number 418. Further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. 419, number 11 is request for approval of contract by and between Weber County and Trinity Services to provide the inmate food services. Similar situation?
Similar situation. They are also our current contractor now. We did go through an RFP process again at the same time frame, actually, and Trinity Services was the successful bidder for this contract as well. We were currently paying 1.057 cents per meal, and our new contract actually is a reduction in our meal costs to 1.017 cents per meal, which is a 4 cent per meal decrease. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you add up 900 and so inmates for 3 meals a day, 365 days a year, it really adds up to somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000 that we look to save for this new contract. So
Great.
we ask for your approval on this one as well.
Great, that's almost a deputy.
Almost.
Well, no, it's almost some money we can use somewhere else in the county. Thanks, Sheriff. Appreciate you doing it. You're becoming the cash cow out there.
I'm always looking out for you.
Thanks.
We appreciate that. Okay, discussion or a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept contract 419 by and between Weber County and Trinity Services to provide inmate food service.
I second it.
Okay, motion is second to approve and adopt contract 419. Discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It passes. Stephanie, you've been busy. We've got a few more with your name on it.
Yes.
The next is a request for approval of contract by and between Weber County and Weber Human Services to provide mental health services at the Weber County Sheriff's Office.
This also is a contract renewal. Weber Human Services has been providing mental health services at the Sheriff's Office for several years, and we're just asking to renew this agreement. The agreement gives us an equivalent of 2 staff members from Weber Mental Health Services, primarily for inmate mental health counseling. Also, however, they do provide some staff training, help with our substance abuse treatment program that we have over at Kiesel, as well as kind of a life skills training for our inmates. So we feel like it's a really advantageous contract for us to continue.
Commissioner, has this been reviewed by Weber Human Services and seems
Correct.
to be in approval?
Yeah, it's gone back several times. It's gone through staff several times. I think it's been vetted very well.
Okay, perfect. Action?
I'll make a motion, we accept contract 420 by and between Mental Health Services, Weber Human Mental Health Services, and the Weber County Sheriff's Office for mental health services.
Second.
Okay, discussion to the motion? All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? It passes. Great. Item number 13, request for approval of memorandum of understanding by and between Weber County Sheriff's Office and 75 SFS Hill Air Force Base for mutual support in force protection and police incident response. This one sounds interesting.
Not that they all weren't interesting.
Okay, this is also a renewal of a current agreement that we've had for several years with the 75th Security Forces Squadron at Hill Air Force Base. It's just a memorandum of understanding to provide mutual support and force protection and police incident response for incidences around the fence that is between Weber County and Hill Air Force Base, as well as other emergency situations that they would call on the Sheriff's Office to help with.
Is that like Little Mountain, that area too, and all that?
I believe this one is just for the area adjacent to Hill Air Force Base.
Oh. Is it a contract or just a?
It's a memorandum of understanding.
So you don't need a number?
It is a contract, yes.
Make a motion?
I'll make a motion. We adopt contract 421, an MOU by and between Weber County Sheriff's Office and the 75th Hill Air Force Base for mutual support and force protection and police incident response.
I second it.
Okay, motion and second then to approve this contract. Number 421, discussion to the motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Item number 422 or 14, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Jared Philandro for basic training reimbursement.
This is kind of a reincarnation of an old agreement that we used to have when we used to hold police academies, satellite academies at the Sheriff's Office. We actually abandoned that process several years ago. We did not have a need to hold those academies any longer because there was an abundance of qualified applicants that had already been through an academy. However, the market has changed again, and we're back to where we feel like we aren't able to find enough qualified applicants that have already completed a law enforcement or a corrections academy. So we have extended an offer of employment to Jared Philandro, and we are going to be sending him through the police academy, the special functions and basic corrections academies through Weber State University. And we felt like it was important to have an agreement that since we're paying the wages and the costs of the training for this individual, that he would be required to either stay with us for a period of 24 months or pay back the investment that we had with him to send him through that academy. So this is an agreement with him for that, and you'll probably start seeing a couple of these come through as we have an academy that's starting on January 25th, I think. So
It's amazing how quick we have to react at times, but this is a real difficulty, I think, in the marketplace, and I'm glad that we're able to adjust to it, at least in some way. So I think it's a good idea. All right, discussion, motion?
I'll make a motion to accept a contract by and between Weber County and Jared Philandro for basic training, 422.
Second.
Okay, we have the motion to adopt and approve contract number 422. Discussion to that motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Thank you, Mrs. Ebert, appreciate it. Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
If you would present the stuff for the Golden Spike, you'd be at the first of the agenda instead of at the end. All right, we're still quite a ways away from the Golden Spike, so we'll move to item number 15, request for approval of interlocal agreements by and between Weber County and the following paramedic services: Weber Fire District, Roy City Fire, Ogden City Fire. Brad D. is our presenter today. Brad, welcome.
Thank you,
Wow, you
Commissioners.
got here just in time. I wonder how you figured out where we'd be.
It's just amazing. How
You
I
weren't
can-
one of the three people watching us on the YouTube, were you?
Well, when I was watching, Commissioner, there was 12.
Wow.
There was up to 15, and now we're at 11.
Okay.
So
Well,
the
yes, I
exciting
was one
stuff,
of them.
the exciting
Okay.
stuff must be over.
So, had some other meetings on some other things, but yes, I was one of them. So Merry Christmas to you. Appreciate this. Some of our briefings, I've briefed each one of you individually on these contracts. These are contracts that have been in existence with Weber County and these particular entities for a number of years. And this is a renewal of those contracts. They are basically the same, except for, let me explain what we've done this year to improve the service in Weber County at almost no additional cost. And I think this is kind of an innovative thing which we've done. We now have the paramedics in the valley that will be run by the Weber Service District and Weber Fire. And they will be running two ambulances in the valley, each with a paramedic on them. And they will have two paramedics in the valley responding to those accidents or concerns throughout the year, whether it be at ski resorts or at the Pine View Recreational Area during the year. And we'll actually have those two paramedic vehicles in two ambulances and be able to leave the valley with an ambulance and still have paramedic services in the valley, something we haven't been able to do before if we put a paramedic on one of those ambulances. The other caveat to these contracts is that we have now, as you know, in this last year, we have had an additional 1/2 unit in the northwest portion of the county. Seems to be working extremely well, again with the Weber Fire District. And they have been able to train and up that particular unit. But as you are aware, and I explained to each of you individually, that there are certain requirements directed through statute and through the EMS Bureau of the State of Utah that require that in order to have the paramedic services, you must have either two paramedics responding, but two paramedics must be at the scene to include it in a paramedic services program. This with the 1/2 unit in the northwest part of the county, we had one paramedic responding and another unit responding from an additional area in the county. So we had actually two vehicles moving at that particular time in any emergency in the northwest part of the county. It worked well, but it wasn't the best situation for the increasing volume of calls and the type of calls that we receive in the northwest part of the county, because most of those, or many of those, are trauma calls, which are a little bit higher than some of the other calls that you might be facing in other areas. So this year, with those negotiations, we've negotiated, and I spent a lot of time with these organizations. I have to give credit to Ogden City and to Roy and to the district for working so well together with us, that we've increased that to a full paramedic unit. The contract calls for that to start by April 1. I am assured by the Weber District that they feel they can start it before that particular time. And so the cadre of paramedics in Weber County, as we adjust those response boundaries to the call volume and the type of calls, we will have a full cadre across Weber County with response times reduced below the national criteria for response time, and provide what I feel to be the best paramedic services in the state of Utah with the services that we provide with these three entities. And the costs, that's the sacrifice I might mention. The costs in the last year in our negotiations, we negotiated each one of them down rather than up to provide for the opportunity to provide for this additional vehicle in the northwest part of the county. So it's a win-win for all of these organizations, and they're working so well together. So these contracts would approve those contracts for the next 5 years. Obviously, I've discussed with you, there's escape clauses if we want to do something else with that on a yearly basis, but this is what these contracts do.
I see that we have some folks from the Weber Fire District here in the back of the room. Anything you'd like to add to what's been said? All right, well, let me just get something on the record then. First of all, I want to thank all that have been involved in the negotiation and Mr. D for your effort here as well. I think that this has been a lot of work over the last 2 years. We've been talking about some of these things for 2 years, and I couldn't be happier with where we are right now. I think that we definitely have improved the situation extremely, an awful lot up in the valley, where we had a situation, as you described, that was a little complicated and convoluted. And I will tell you, as a report back from the mayor of Huntsville and from residents in the valley, they are extremely happy with where we're at there now, and feel like it's a positive step forward that the county, in our responsibility to provide paramedic service through this fund, has heard their concerns and their needs and moved forward with an action plan that made sense for them. I also am very thankful and grateful for the unit in the northwest area. I think that has proven to be a lifesaver in many ways. We continue to hear stories and get feedback. One particular of interest was our old friend Bert Smith, who wrote a letter and thanked us. Well, Kathy wrote the letter on his behalf, convinced that had that unit not been in service, that he would have been gone today. And we are just grateful that we have that opportunity. We're always looking in this program to find, to be wise with the number of calls, and the call volume plays a huge part of this. But I think it also is important that we look at response times. And that was one of those areas out in the west and northwest part of the county that we were having a hard time getting response times where they should be. And I think this additional unit has done a really good job to make that happen. So I just want to compliment our partners. I think all of those partners, Roy City, Ogden City, and the Weber Fire District have done a great job in providing this service. And we hope that this 5-year contract, of course, with the clauses that you mentioned, that we can adjust if we need to, but hope that this will give them enough confidence and continuity that as we go forward, that service will continue to increase and be better and better as we move forward. So I think this is an extremely positive step for our taxpayers, for the people out there. So.
Commissioner, I might point out, and I know that you're in a hurry today, but I might point out that this is one service where I have several partners, and to echo what you said, they are more concerned about the citizens and their delivery than they are about their individual units. And that makes it easy to provide a product like this to the citizens of Weber County.
I've seen that too, as we've negotiated with them and talked with them. I think it's been great to hear they really want to do the right thing. It's not about a turf war. It's about doing the right thing. I think we've got a good fit here that won't be this way forever, but I think it's a really good place to be right now. And I since you're the ones in the room from the district, I hope that you'll take that back to your employees. I just couldn't be happier with the service that's being provided right now, and really look forward to continuing that partnership into the future. So thank you very much.
If you wait to the end of the meeting, he'll give you a hug.
Wow.
All right.
I'll be gone by then, I guarantee you.
Any discussion then, or a motion on this particular item?
No contract numbers.
423, 24, and 25.
Okay, I'll make a motion. We accept contract number 423 by and between Weber County and the Weber Fire District, 424 by and between Weber County and the Roy Fire Department, and by and between Weber County and the Ogden Fire Department.
Second.
Okay, motion and second then that we approve and adopt these contracts, number 423, 424, and 425. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Item number 16 for Brad as well is the request for approval of contract by and between Weber County and Dr. Robert W. Grow for an EMS physician advisor agreement.
Thank you, Commissioners. As you well know also, as I've discussed this, is that requirements from the state as far as the development and establishment of paramedic services in the state of Utah and the Bureau of Emergency Medical Services and EMS, there are certain requirements that for our paramedic service to be credited and to be an outstanding paramedic service in the state of Utah, one of which is a physician's advisor, which controls protocols and works with those paramedics individually and collectively to develop skills, making sure we're getting the number of runs, making sure we have the professionalism, and maintaining those staffings to the point where they serve the citizens of Weber County. This contract has been in place for as long as I have been working with the paramedic program, and it has never increased, which is eons. At this particular year, it has increased by 15,000, goes from 30 to 45,000. And the reason for that is the increase in the units and the fact that we are offering that same physician advisor unit to other entities in Weber County. What this will necessitate is for the current physician advisor to also be working with another physician advisor at McCady Hospital. So we have both hospitals covered now with physician advisors. So when the paramedics on a PMA call or they come into the hospital and work with those scenarios, that training and all of the things developed with the paramedics will be synonymous and the same training for every paramedic, whichever hospital they might be responding to. That, in a nutshell, is this particular contract, and it calls on Dr. Grow to also require the primary physician to feel facilitated or affiliated with the Ogden Regional and also McCady Hospital.
Yeah, this is a great thing. I think that's good, and there hasn't been an increase as I look through these contracts, and they do a great job because they're our first people that help us there, and these guys need that so they can get them prepared to the hospital, and his influence there has just been wonderful, and it's been really good in the past, so I really appreciate that. And he's done it for a long time, hasn't he?
Yes.
We've
had probably, and since I've been working with this program, we've probably had 4 of them, and he's been the last one for several years.
Yep, done a great job. So yeah, I appreciate you bringing this forward to us.
I'll make a motion to approve contract 426 by and between Weber County and Dr. Robert W. Grow for the EMS Physician Advisory Agreement.
I second that.
Okay, motion and second to approve contract number 426. Any discussion to that motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners, for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bradley.
At the request of staff, we're going to skip the next 3 items, hold them to the end, and move to item number 20. Item number 20 is the request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Powder Mountain Water and Sewer Improvement District for the construction of Sundown Water Line.
Well, that's me.
That's you, Commissioner Bell.
So this is a tough one. Not really. Let me explain what we've done here. So we needed a water line put in up in Powder Mountain to connect from some of the old system and the new system in there. And we needed to do it before summer, so we didn't have time to go out for a full bid process. So we already had a contract in place. Weber County had a contract in place putting in the sewer and the water pipes up there. So we piggybacked on their contract to have this done. This contract completely paid for by the district, Powder Mountain Water and Sewer, but we did it through Weber County, so it's mainly making a paper trail to go through it. So it's the job's been complete, and it's been done up there. So
Okay, any questions, Commissioner?
No.
I'll make a motion. What contract number is that?
So you threw my system off.
I know, mine too. Mine was in order too. I've been writing them down, but
427.
okay, 427. I make a motion to accept contract 427 by and between Powder Mountain and the Powder Mountain Water and Sewer District in Weber County.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. All right, Mr. Harvey, come on up. We're gonna, yes, come on up here. I've had my fun. We enjoy Mr. Harvey. He's a good man, does a good job for us out there. Item number 17, request for approval of a contract by and between independent contractor Arthur Broglie to provide German Swiss-style live entertainment for the 2016 Snedenhof Winterfest, German Winterfest. Could you give us a demonstration?
That's
about as good as you're going to get right there. Okay. Strangely enough, I would love to have that talent, but I've tried it, as probably many of you won't admit, in the shower, and it just is not working out too good for me. So I'm going to just let this guy. This is a dear, sweet, elderly guy who's got a great little following. There's a piano player that does a little thing. I can't remember his name right now, but he plays a little piano and then he does a little jokes, and that's kind of what this guy does. And so it changes this year's Hof German Fest up. Kathy, you paying attention here? Okay, great.
She's always.
Thanks, Kathy.
On the 22nd and 23rd of January, in our exhibit hall out there. This will be the 30th annual Hof German Fest, and it's for about half that time the county has produced that event since the passing of Scott Snedden. And so we're grateful that you commissioners see that this is a great diversification of use for that building and our place out there. So we're looking for this, in as much as this is an entertainment contract, we're looking for approval of this for this entertainer, and you can see that it's really pretty inexpensive.
This is it's a great thing that they do out there, and I'll tell you, it makes me think back. I spent a couple of months in Germany about 10 years ago, right at Christmas time, and served my mission in Holland at Christmas time. And I'm telling you, there is nothing funner than Germany at Christmas time. And every time I go to this, it takes me back. It is a great thing, and I think a great cultural event for our community, something that's diverse and makes a good use of this facility. So appreciate your explanation and your work to bring this to fruition. So, commissioners, any questions?
None for me. I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion. We approve contract 428 by and between independent contractor Arthur Broglie to provide German Swiss-style live entertainment for the 2016 Snedden German Fest, Winterfest, January 22nd, 23rd.
Okay, and we have a second as well. So
second it.
contract number 428, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. Item number 18, request for approval of the contract between Weber County and Trax AV, independent contractor, to provide the audio system and basic lighting system for the 2016 Snedenhof Winterfest.
So with that, commissioners, these are while a tier C or a tier D entertainer, they do get professional sound with monitors and lights and the other things that are needed for that. I can also tell you that you see the amounts of these contracts come in from the sale of the proceeds collected for tickets. The county, this does not, Kathy, this is another sound piece, specific, just calling it out. The county does not have to fund this. This is self-funded. In fact, we generate a little income from this event. So it's a unique cultural activity that actually funds itself. And so that makes it very unique to a lot of the things that happen here in Weber County. So just looking for Trax AV to be our sound guys for the Hof German Fest.
Okay, we need our sound guys.
Okay, now that we got the sound, we got the singer and the sound.
Just need a
I'll
little
second
dancing.
that. I'll make a motion that we accept 429 contract between Weber County and Trax AV.
Second.
Okay, motion and second then to approve this contract number 429. Discussion to the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 And really quickly for the Hof, if you haven't been to the Hof, it's a lot of fun. If we can get more people to that, it's great. So thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
All right, sounds good. The motion passes unanimously. To item number 19. Is this your last one, Jim?
Well, it is for today.
All right. Request for approval of the contract by and between Weber County and Wasatch Slopes, Beehive, Skyline, Bear River, Golden Spike, and Nebo Chariot Racing Associations for the Utah State Chariot Championships. This is always one that we look forward to.
This is actually, Commissioners, we need to ratify the one date, last weekend, December 19th, but inasmuch as it's all on the same contract, and then we need to strike December 26th because they've already canceled that for this coming weekend. But this is our annual chariot racing. This particular contract is brought before you because it's, while we have standard fees and rates, they enjoy a grandfathered clause as it relates to stalls, and they get the, as they come every week after week after week for 8-10 weeks, they do fit into this little niche, and so the stall rates are a little less expensive, or as if it was a huge event. We just kind of rotate those through the whole span of the contract, which makes it good. So that's the reason this one's brought before you today, is that exemption to the ordinance for the pricing.
Appreciate that.
May I just add, since we have a couple other folks there, I can tell you that I've just received signed contracts back from the Utah Quarter Horse Association that's associated indirectly with this group to bring half the races from Laurel Brown, a racetrack that's been in Salt Lake for decades and decades. And now those horse races, or summer flat track races, will begin back out at what the AQHA calls Weber Downs, beginning the 21st of May, and then also again the 4th of June. So we'll have summer flat track horse racing here in Weber County again. That's a big, big deal.
Big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Glad to have them back.
So Jim, did you have some changes in the contract that you stated?
Just the stall piece there from 18 to 15.
Okay, and is that already in the contract, or do we just need to make that in there?
It's in there. We're good.
I'll make a motion, we approve, sorry, Matthew,
Go ahead. No, is there just one contract for all this?
For all the dates.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve contract 430 by and between Weber County and Wasatch Slopes, Beehive, Skyline, Bear River, Golden Spike, and Nebo Chariot Race Associations for the Utah State Chariot Championships.
I second it.
Okay.
Wholeheartedly.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey.
Merry
We still have a
Christmas.
lot left to go on our
Melekalikimaka.
agenda.
Yeah.
Melekalikimaka. All right, item number 21. Request for approval of a resolution of the County Commissioners of Weber County approving the 2016 Weber County budget. Scott Park, our comptroller, who is furiously preparing for the end of the year because we have a new accounting system that we're about to roll out.
We do.
So you showed up just on time too. Were you watching it online too?
Ricky was kind enough to send me a text when it was time for me to come down.
I'm trying to figure out where these 11 people come from, and so most of them are probably in this building.
I think they're family.
Yeah.
Never know.
All right. Well, we held a public hearing on the tentative budget a couple of weeks ago. Since then, we haven't really received any comments or feedback from the public. We went through and made a couple of technical corrections, not really anything significant. And so we're presenting the final budget to you in basically the same format as the tentative budget. So unless you have any specific questions, we've already discussed it in great detail. I'd ask for you to approve the county's 2016 capital and operating budget.
We've had a couple of weeks to ponder and...
Well, weeks. We've been doing it for months.
Well, I mean, since the passing of the tentative.
Oh, yeah.
And just to see if there was any final adjustments that we wanted to make, and I'm not aware of any. I feel like it, like Commissioner Bell said, it's been a good process, a thorough process, one that took a lot of time and a lot of effort and input, and I feel good with where we're at for right now, given the circumstances that are before us. So, Commissioners, unless you feel differently, let's go ahead and make a motion on
What's
this.
the resolution number?
48.
48. I make a motion that we accept resolution number 48 for the Weber County 2016 final budget.
Second.
Okay, motion and second to approve that resolution number 48. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Chair Gibson?
Aye.
You know, it's just amazing. I mean, you have to feel like you put your heart and soul into this, as we have for months and months and months, and now all of a sudden it takes 15 seconds and it's all done. It's like Thanksgiving dinner. Cook and cook and cook, and 13 minutes later, everybody's gone.
Well, it's the process
But
we
the best
enjoy.
part is that once it's gone, then you get to the pie.
Oh,
There's no pie in this
so
budget.
there's pie in this somewhere? When does pie come?
There's enjoyment, okay?
Okay, enjoy.
And again, this is my first budget. It was a very interesting experience. And we had elected officials and department heads who we had to get back with and help us get to a point where the budget was comfortable. I don't even know if comfortable is the exact word. I think many of the
Appropriate,
yeah. And so there was a lot of negotiation and back and forth, and we appreciate all of those elected officials that worked and compromised to come to a budget that we felt we could move forward with. So there's been a tremendous amount of work to get here. It's not a 15-minute deal like we have here
Right.
to talk about.
Well, it was a 30-second deal here, but. So the other thing that's amazing, and I know I bring this up all the time, is we're in the middle of putting in a new computer system. And that's Scott's job. And that's been full-time plus, and the budget's full-time plus, so he's been busy. But I would love you to take Christmas Day off and spend it at home, at least most of the day, but have your laptop handy.
All right.
So we're ready. We're going live on computer in January 1st.
He's only been working half days.
Half days. We gave him half days
Oh.
lately.
Did
Been
we?
7 to 7.
7. Oh, good. Those 12 hours. That's working good for you then. Good.
Yep. No, we're taking
No.
Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off.
So
Getting
I
ready
ju-
for the January go live date.
I just wanted to thank Scott for all he's doing up there, because it's been tremendous, because we hear on the other side of it from a lot of staff and things, this is going to be a great system when we get there, but we're not there. So.
Ready or
thanks,
not,
Scott.
we will be there shortly.
I know you. I appreciate what you're doing, Ricky. Thank you and what you guys are doing there, so it's been great.
And I'm just going to give kudos to the sheriff's office, because not only are they going through the new accounting system, they are also implementing a new RMS system and jail management system. So their staff, any staff member who touches a keyboard is learning everything new from start to finish. So you think you're pulling your hair out, and they're learning everything new over there. So same to the
I've
sheriff's
already
office.
pulled mine out. Gary?
My arms are too short. I can only pull out the
You
front.
just need to fess up to it and live it.
I don't realize how much I pulled it out till I look at myself on the
Don't look
monitor.
at yourself there, because it's really gone. Keep thinking you have a little bit. Sorry,
All right.
sorry that we, thank you, Scott.
We did pass our motion. You're
Yes,
excused.
but you're on the budget coming right up here.
If you would
Agenda.
leave, maybe he would stop, and then we'd be in good shape. But- All right, to our public hearings. Item number 1, I need a motion to adjourn the public meeting, convene the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 We are in our public hearing. In our public hearing now, we move to item number 2, which is the public hearing to amend the operating and capital budgets of Weber County for the 2015 calendar year.
Oh, that's Scott again.
Scott.
All right.
See, Jim, what you get when Scott, we do them right together, the whole bit, so you could learn something here.
We could have put you after Scott.
All right, there are summaries of changes to the 2015 operating and capital budgets. Most of these changes are just housekeeping cleanup items that we do at the end of each year. So we received a few new grants, and we've spent the money, so we have to authorize the receiving of the revenue and the spending of the money. Not a lot of crazy things on here. The Commission, you've seen and approved all of these previous to this. So unless there are any specific questions on that, I would just ask that you approve the amendments, adjustments to the 2015 operating and capital budgets after we have some public comment.
Okay, great. All right, we'll move to, unless there are any questions for Scott, commissioners? We'll move to
So we'll do public comment on all the items at the end.
Yes. Yep. We'll move to item number 3, which is the public hearing to consider and take action on a request with those numbers to amend that section, Title 104, Chapter 29, Ogden Valley Destination Recreation Resort Zone. I'll read all the numbers. Title 108, Chapter 1, Design Review. Title 108, Chapter 2, Ogden Valley Architectural Landscape and Screening Design Standards. Title 108, Chapter 8, Parking and Loading Space, Vehicle Traffic, Access Regulations. Title 108, Chapter 19, Accessory Apartments. and Title 110, Chapter 2 Ogden Valley signs within the Weber County Land Use Code. Scott
Yes.
Mendoza, good to see you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to all three of you, too.
Thank you.
The applicant today that's with us is Summit Mountain Holding Group, and you're correct. There are 7 different chapters that have, it's been requested that you consider amending each one of those. This is within the county's land use code. Commissioners, the amendments, in summary, they have to do with amending the definitions or the chapter where the land use code houses its definitions. It has to do with amending one definition, creating a new term, a new defined term. This request also has to do with creating more flexibility in the development standards and workforce housing requirements, and those are found in the county's resort, destination recreation resort zone. The request also has to do with adding approximately 12 new uses to the land use table, also in the resort zone. And this request also allows more administrative or a staff level approval for commercial types of development that are in that resort zone. These commercial developments would be higher, above an elevation of 6,200 feet. The request or the amendments also finally have to do with overall providing more flexibility when it comes to resort signage and landscaping requirements. Again, these requirements are found in the resort zone and that Ogden Valley Architectural Landscape chapter. So one thing I don't want to do is disappoint anybody during a long meeting like this by saying that I don't plan on reading every line within every chapter that's before you today. But what I do want to point out is that the proposal was submitted last summer. It's gone through 2 work sessions with the Ogden Valley Planning Commission. It's gone through 1 public hearing with Western Weber Planning Commission. And it's also been through a public hearing with the Ogden Valley Planning Commission as well. And I do want to point out that the 3 of you were kind enough to allow us to bring you information quite some time ago and put this bundle of information on your desks so you could start your review. So I know that you're all very well prepared for the request that's before you today. Commissioners, really with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have about any of the amendments that are before you. If you don't have any questions, I'd be happy to step aside and allow you time with the applicant, allow you time to take questions and comments from the public. And one thing I do want to mention before I do step aside is that we haven't, you'll notice in your packet, we haven't prepared a final ordinance for you to consider today. What we'd like to ask is that you take public comment, if there is any, and eventually get to a point where you can provide us with direction, either today or in between today's meeting and a future meeting where we can bring you an ordinance for final consideration.
So you're not expecting us to pass an ordinance like this today after the public hearing?
That's correct.
Or amend it, this is to here, and then we'll come back at a later date?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
Yeah, I've got a bunch that I want to talk about, but can we let the petitioners come up and let them talk about it a little bit? And then I've written down all my notes here, and maybe they'll talk about some things, maybe not.
Okay.
Hi, Paul Strange, Eden with Summit. Just to quickly go through this, essentially we've changed a few things just to make them clear, make them easier for us to interact with. And there's a number of different areas here. I don't know if we want to run through all of them. I'll quickly hit them. The first one, which is the amendments to Title 101, the General Provisions, Section 101.17. What we've defined something called a detached lockout there, which is like a lockout, but it's actually not attached to the home. In our community, we have limitations on the size of the homes, and so this square footage that comes out of these homes will actually be a reduction to the overall size of the home. If you have a limit on your house and you put out a 500 square foot detached home, detached lockout, your home will actually be smaller, and so it'll reduce that and not have much of an impact on the development. We also have made a few changes to the definition of the lockout sleeping room. The distinction there being it is attached. We've asked that be allowed in a number of different configurations. Right now, it's allowed in a condominium. We'd like to see that done allowed a little bit more broadly. I think that's the major issues in that section. Section 104.29.2 addresses buffer areas. This one is relatively, I think, non-controversial. There's a lot of different buffer areas that are set forth in the resort zone. Many of them have to do with being on the edge of the resort zone. We're intended to protect folks on the edge of the resort zone. We have a unique situation because we don't have all of the property that we own is not in the resort zone because part of it's in Cache County. And so we wanted to make sure that we weren't creating a buffer against our own property against the Cache County line, because we can't obviously zone that into DRR1 since it's not in Weber County. And so that a lot of these changes have to do with making sure that we're not having to put in a 200-foot buffer against property that we own next to it just because it's in a separate county. There are also within this section setbacks that we've reduced setbacks and lot size requirements. As you guys are aware, we build, our goal is to build smaller homes and to have clustered building next, where homes are tightly put together in the village. And so we've made some changes to allow that. We've made some changes to the height of buildings that can be constructed in the zone above 6,200 feet. One of the things we did in trying to make sure that we weren't impacting anyone else and in making these changes, right now there's just Snow Basin and us that are in the DR1, but in the future there could be somebody else. So we put some limitations in, like altitude. We used 6,200 feet because that was the heliport one that was already in the code. Just thought it was to keep it consistent with the code.
Well, how many stories is 75 feet?
How many stories is 75 feet? About six. For section 104.29.7, this was designed, again, because of the fact that we own property in Cache County. We're adjusting this to allow the workforce housing to be located outside of the resort as long as it's contiguous, as long as the property that it's on is properly zoned for workforce housing. The issue being that, for example, our large parking lot, if we wanted to put something in our large parking lot, most of that's in Cache County. And certainly that should be counted with, being supportive of the community for putting in the workforce housing. So that was the concept there, was to allow us to be able to make these, essentially when the resort crosses a county line, we're not restricted to having to place it, one side of the line or the other. The next section in section 104.29.8 also has some buffer issues. It has to do with where the heliport. This is similar to the previous one that I discussed. We also have made a few changes here. The additional kitchens, the detached lockouts are mentioned here. This is where they're being allowed versus being defined as they were done before. And then a few other items that we've moved to permitted uses. With regard to additional kitchens, one of the issues that we have is really, as we're in a destination and recreation resort zone, the goal should be to make that a destination location and allow flexibility in renting. That also reflects on the lockout issue. The additional kitchens, many of the homes that are being built up there are being built with they would have been designed with additional kitchens to allow for support of, parties and other activities. And so applying the second kitchen covenant, which the county has as a policy, we don't think that should be applied, because we should be able to treat the home as rentable, etc. Let's see. The next section is 104-2910, which also addresses second kitchens. That has to do with the second kitchen covenant. Section 104-2911. This one I think is also relatively non-controversial. What it does is it allows us, we have a tendency to use building envelopes. We've done that because we want to make sure that we place the homes in locations that have the least impact on the mountain and also in the least impact on the neighbors. But because of the way the county code's set up, putting miscellaneous improvements such as a barbecue pit or things like that outside of that lot, outside that building envelope is restricted. So we've asked to change that to allow those improvements to be put outside of the building envelope. 10812 gives the more flexibility to the planning director to approve homes, just like the planning director can do. Construction. Currently, the planning director has this authority above 6,200 feet, and in the DRR1 zone, it'll give more flexibility to the planning director to approve the design, to do the design review for buildings. And then for the architectural, landscape, and screening design standards, what we've done is allow for flexibility to allow the planning commission to have flexibility in approving a plan that we would propose that would lay out the design standards that we would have for our community. You guys want me to keep going? I know there's a lot here. 108-812 has to do with parking. We've set up a similar approach there, which would allow us to submit a plan to the planning commission, and the planning commission would approve a parking plan consistent with our master plan, which of course you've already approved. The accessory apartment change, just the only change to the accessory apartments is to because the way the code is structured, almost everything regarding parking is in one section, except there is some parking rules that are in the accessory apartment section. So this just picks that up and puts it in within the plan. The signs, we've taken a similar approach there, where the planning commission will be able to approve a sign plan that is consistent with our master plan. And the change actually in 12, 11028 is a change that isn't directly focused on our development. It was just we put it in here, it's an issue that we identified where the code didn't actually allow a sign to be placed on an entranceway if that entranceway was part of a parcel owned by another person. So this is actually a clarification. I think that the planning department's been supportive of this. This is just to allow that where there's actually egress and ingress out on the neighboring property, you could put a sign announcing the business that you're accessing there. That was a very quick run through on all those, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions? Hey, let's start.
Can I have you and Sean both there? And let's just, do you mind if we just walk through that packet real quick?
It's probably the two Scots.
I mean Scott, sorry, Scott. I'm sorry, Sean, I didn't mean Sean. You just sit back there, Sean. So,
I'll take that as a compliment.
so I've got the report you sent out on the 5th of November. And then I've got this, the new, where we've got the final stuff in here, and I kind of want to walk through each of those areas unless you want to do something a little different, and just, yeah. Well, okay, then let's just, okay.
So we've got a couple opportunities here now. Obviously, you can ask any question you'd like, but we also have, we'll have an opportunity when we actually bring this back for action. And of course, always you have the opportunity for one-on-one with staff if you would like that. So just keep that in mind as you ask questions where the appropriate place and time would be.
Well, I think most of this right here, if I'm not correct, if it's in red, it's a change, and the planning commission is good with it, right? No.
The opposite.
The yellow.
Okay.
It was my attempt to try to provide a little clarity there and a little highlight it in some way to show you areas where the planning commission and or staff were not supportive, or green text would indicate full support.
What does blue mean?
Blue, In the packet, the only blue
Is that
that
the
I
new
remember
green?
seeing, I don't remember seeing any green in the memo that you received. But there are exhibits that do have some blue text.
Okay, I got you.
That's the added language, and then the red in those is the deleted?
I'll have to check. Bear with
So
me just a
I've
second.
got blue on,
Is this in the memo?
we're talking about lockouts. On
It's
here.
all red here.
It's on about page 4
Of which,
of this whole big packet
Okay.
that I got.
page 4 of the staff report?
Page 4 of it, yeah. It says page 101 on the bottom, but it's exhibit B. It says B on mine. Here. On this page 4, it's actually sheets of paper 4 from the front. It's 1, 2, 3, oh, I'm wrong. 4, 5, it's 6, page 6. Yeah, but my page says 1 of 1.
One of exhibit B?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's blue and green.
Got it.
Okay,
Oh.
the blue text is from Mr. Strange. That's
Okay.
proposed, the underlined blue text is proposed.
Okay,
Green is moved.
The green has not been deleted, however, it's been moved to a different location within that paragraph.
okay.
You can see the
Yeah, I
deletion
can
in the
see.
green there.
I can
moved,
see
it's
that, I
moved
just didn't
down.
understand why it was moved.
That's a
That's
function of
legal-
the software.
a legal thing.
So if you move it, it turns it green. If it's new, it was blue.
Okay, so my other question is what's the elevation of Nordic Valley?
Approximately Nordic Valley, probably around 5,200 to about 5,700.
So-
I think we'd be looking at the base of Nordic, because that's where they would build, right?
So Nordic Valley's not included in any of this at all?
It's not. We're at about 54-ish hundred at the Wolf Creek, and I think it's a little lower than that.
Okay, so just to planning, why would not Nordic Valley's a resort? Are they not a resort?
Nordic Valley, well, the resort zone, to become the resort zone, the code requires that an applicant come in with a minimum of 1,000 acres. So if Nordic
okay.
Valley was able to acquire or assemble that many acres, they'd meet that requirement, and they'd be able to submit application to become the resort zone. But as it stands today, an application for Nordic to become the resort zone has never been taken in.
But they probably couldn't be, because we're gonna say you have to be so many feet to be in this ordinance here, it says you gotta be so many feet, so they wouldn't be a resort zone unless we reduced the level, how many feet above sea level?
Well, there are some amendments that are proposed
Okay.
here, and for example, the administrative or more staff level approvals, that, it may be hard for Nordic Valley, if they were to become the resort zone, it may be hard for them to qualify for that level of approval due to the fact that most of the mountain sits below an elevation of 6,200 feet. I believe up maybe just beyond their top terminal
Okay,
is about 6,200 feet. So if they were able to assemble the right number of acres, come in and be rezoned to the resort zone,
okay,
under this proposal, they would have to go through the standard approval process for any development that sits below that 6,200.
okay.
So they would be
Gotcha.
able to go through the approvals, but at
Gotcha.
just a different approval process for everything under that 6,200.
Okay,
We view this as a difference between being on the valley floor and being
Right.
more remote. And
Gotcha.
the actual the part that would actually impact, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that part of the DRR1 zone for Snow Basin reaches down the road, down to the bottom of Trapper's Loop. So there is some section in there that is going to be subject to higher review, but we felt like the valley is, something where people are seeing it a lot more easily. It's more accessible, and so
Gotcha.
it made sense to put that limit in. Now, the limit itself at 6,200 feet was picked because it was already referenced in the code for a completely different reason, which was the heliport. I just thought it was easier to keep things consistent for everybody to have one sort of cutoff rather than another one.
so my next question is what does Snow Basin have? Have they made any comments? Because this is affecting them too. This is changing what some of their rules are too, right?
That's correct. And early on in the process, immediately after receiving the application, we started to share that information with Snow Basin, and we have not received any comment from them.
So they don't have any, so with the changes in here in this packet, Snow Basin hasn't commented saying it was negative or positive either way, because this is gonna make the changes for them just the same as it does for Powder Mountain.
That's correct. We haven't received any formal comment from Snow Basin.
Okay.
Overall, this allows more flexibility, so it, as a developer, from a development perspective or a developer's perspective, I would think that a developer would see these as advantageous.
Okay. Okay, but
Not
no.
to speak for Snow Basin.
Not to speak for them, because we haven't heard from them formally.
Right.
But we haven't heard, but they know what's going on, and they haven't had any objection to it at all. So my next question is with this resort zone, which is all on top of Powder Mountain up there, some of these changes, as I looked through this and as I've gone through a lot of these different changes and that, there are some of the proposed changes that they would like to make. I don't see them as being, now I see the Planning Commission on most of them are good with a lot of it.
Yes.
But there's a couple of them there, and so a couple of them that stick out to me is these lockout units is something new for me, and plus building of a house. Why would we, if somebody can build a 7,000 square foot house on their property and decides to build a 5,000 square foot house and a 2,000 square foot attached garage with a sleeping quarters in it, because people do that right now in the county. Can they not get a permit and do that?
There's a permitting process. It's a conditional use permit process for an accessory apartment. So
Okay.
every zone within the county does allow a landowner to have a single-family dwelling and have an accessory apartment as part of that. And condominium units are also allowed to have up to 2 attached lockouts. Very common type of product that you'll see in resorts
Right.
all around the world.
So in a condominium, but the condominium has to be in a resort to be able to have the lockouts in it?
Well, a condominium.
Or can any condominium do it?
Any condominium. So the zones the zones have a list of uses, permitted or
Right.
conditional.
Gotcha.
If a condominium is one of those allowed types of uses or structures in the zone, then that condominium unit would be allowed to have up to 2 lockouts per unit.
But not a house?
To date, there's not an ability to have an attached lockout. The way that you can house another family today is through that accessory apartment.
But that can only be 800 square feet, right?
That's true.
And an accessory apartment has a kitchen.
Correct.
And a lockout does not.
So one of the things that I thought was interesting, that if you build a house and you put a second kitchen in your house, you have to have permission from the county to do that.
The county's code today, and it's been, I believe, like this for decades, the county's code allows a single-family dwelling. At some point, in how the county has interpreted this or looked at this, is if you add a full second kitchen and you lock a door and the house can act as a 2-dwelling structure or a duplex, then the county has not stopped landowners from doing that, but has offered what's called a second kitchen covenant.
Okay.
It allows them just basically to promise that it's going to continue to operate
Right.
as a single-family dwelling.
So they don't take a house and turn it into big rental units and all that other stuff. I understand that. Okay, well, I think that looks pretty good. That's most of my questions that I have right now.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, Commissioner? Okay, let's move along to the item number 4 with Charlie. If you'll come on up. This is the public hearing regarding proposal to amend the following section of the Weber County Land Use Code, General Provisions, Title 101, Definitions, Section 1-7, Subdivision, Title 106, General Provisions, Chapter 1, Standards, Title 108, Hillside Development Review Procedures and Standards, Chapter 14, and other sections of the Weber County Code to provide for administrative edits relating to changes in the subdivision code and related to changes to the names of the planning commissions and planning areas.
Commissioner, I'd like to know what I did to offend Shelley, because I'm at the end.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, big thick packet, and you see that it makes sense to put it back at the end. A lot of this, over 1,000 pages of, or excuse me, 1,000 lines of code being affected by these changes, but the majority of the changes are administrative in nature. Let me break it down to the reason why we even started this. We found, quite by accident, that the 2012 subdivision code was no longer in effect in our codes. We worked hard with the county attorney's office to verify that all of our actions based on the 2012 subdivision code of the past are still valid, and they agree that it is, but out of an abundance of caution, they want to make sure that we run this through the formal process one more time just to make sure it's the right thing to do. History here is that in 2012 we had a subdivision code. At the same time we had codification process going on. There was some cross communication, and the subdivision code of 2012 did not get into the final codified version, and then the enacting language to enact the codified version repealed all others, thereby repealing the 2012 code by accident. So here we are fixing that.
All that by accident.
Yeah, whoops. So with that in mind, the 2012 subdivision code, it had a very specific structure, similar to the structure of other codes in the land use code. And one of the things was providing certain definitions at the beginning of many of the different chapters. Part of codification took those definitions and moved them into a new definition section. Not only did they move them into a new definition section, they found that in a number of those individual sections with their own definitions, that the meaning of is meant something different in a different section. And so when the codifiers, one of the reasons why we really stitched this together with codifiers is to ensure that when we're using terminology, we're using it consistently across the board. So we have a brand new, in our new codified code, a brand new definition section, and all the definitions generally applicable across the board. When we try and take the 2012 code with its definitions and plug it in, we had some problems. And so here I am trying to rectify those problems to make them work. Very boring stuff, lots of different words, and getting down to the end run, we have a little bit more clarity in the direction that our code provides us.
So as I look through this, because sometimes I just like to read fun stuff like this.
Put you to sleep at night.
I couldn't see one thing in there that is gonna, that changes what our taxpayers already do. And it just changes the terminologies all you've done. You've like got rid of the word township, you got rid of that everywhere. And so is there anything in here that you see, is there anything in here that's gonna be of any issues that you see? I see the planning commissions are still gonna come the way we do our two separate planning commissions.
That's right. That's right. That specific subject, the townships, I just box carted that idea onto this to get it all done. The state code changed. We can no longer use the term township. And now we have special advisory areas, planning advisory areas. So that's changed throughout all of the code to advisory areas. It doesn't change the authority. It doesn't change the way it all works. It just changed what we're calling it. That's really what this is about, is changing the words to say what we meant for them to say. One other element of this is we've got hillside review and we've got how we're calculating slope. There is a change there, which are engineers and applicants submitting applications on slope property will have to do a calculation a little different than what we currently do. What we currently do is we say take the high point, take the low point, average the difference between the two, and that's your slope. Well, it doesn't work for larger properties. It doesn't actually take the totality of all the different various slopes on properties. And so this other way, this other mechanism provides a better holistic slope analysis for properties. That's the only big difference.
Will this help people or hurt people building houses on slopes?
It depends on what kind of a slope you're on and the topography of your property.
So if you're building on your level part of your slope, you're okay, but on the real steep portion,
you can still build. It just changes the review process to verify that we're checking slopes, stability, we're checking geologic hazards, that kind of stuff. Just making sure we're getting the right level of verification that it's safe to build on certain
slope.
What's that?
It just changes the average slope because it's a different equation.
That's right. The formula to do the calculation is different.
I can't figure out what I is.
Okay,
Sorry?
I didn't really have any more questions on this. Like I said, I think it was Nothing.
He's a really smart guy. He's thought of everything, and
Me?
you can
No.
get him.
To
Oh, I
answer
thought you were
Commissioner,
saying I was smart.
to answer
I kinda
Commissioner
explained
Ebert's
the
question, I is interval.
Interval.
10-foot interval, 5-foot interval, 2-foot
Times
interval.
the length divided by what's A?
Acreage, I believe. So anyway, it's a conversion of acreage to square footage, and then the engineers know better. I ran it through a lot of engineers. I'm not that smart. Any questions about this?
No.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
If there's no further questions, this would be the time then for the public to comment on these particular issues. We have 3 issues that we have open for this public hearing. Item number 2, 3, and 4 that we just discussed. Are there any who would like to comment as part of the public hearing regarding these 3 issues?
Can you comment on something different than this after this is over?
Yes, we'll have a public comment period at the end of the meeting, so. Okay, anything else on these 3 issues? As part of the public hearing. Okay,
I'll make a motion. We come out of public hearing.
and reconvene the public meeting.
Public hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, it passes. Action on the public hearings. So we do need to take action on H2, which is the request for approval of resolution approving the amendments to the 2015 operating budget. Commissioners, would you like to take action on that?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
That's Resolution 49.
I'll make a motion that we accept Resolution 49 to accept the amendment budget for the 2015 calendar year.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second then on 49. All in, roll call vote?
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Chair Gibson?
The motion passes. On this one, we're not to take action on H3, right? Is that the way I understood that? So we'll go on that one. On IH4, I'm assuming the same, or would you like us to take action on this today?
It's ready to go.
It's ready to go. Okay, Commissioners, are you comfortable moving
Sure.
forward with this today? Okay.
Ordinance 22.
I'll make a motion to accept ordinance number 22, which is a change to land use code in Title 101, Sections 1 to 7, Title 106, Chapter 1, Title 108, the Hillside Development Review Procedures, and Chapter 14.
Second.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Chair Gibson?
Aye. The motion passes. Okay, that should do it for our action. So we'll move next to our public hearing, or excuse me, our public comments. All those who would like to comment from the public, now would be the time, Corey, to come up if you'd like. Come on up and state your name for the record. And tell us what you have to say.
Corey Comby. Do you need my address?
No, just the town where you live.
Yeah. I have my own road. I also say I picked the wrong day to come.
Yeah.
When I looked at that agenda, I thought, this is crazy.
It looked like it could have been a 3 or 4 hour one. We sped it up pretty good for you, Corey.
Yeah. So anyway, I just have a couple of questions about changes, and maybe this may have some of it. All my issues are related to Skyline Drive.
Okay.
I've put as much of Skyline Drive in as anyone, I think. One of the last sections of Skyline Drive I put in was connecting the existing Skyline in Uena out to Wasatch, which eventually got to Harrison. When we did that, Curtis was in planning at the time, and my street didn't quite get to Wasatch, and so the county went in, made an agreement with me. We put it all in, went through Mr. Lucero's property. As we went through that, I don't think we bought his property, and we put county put a holding strip on his both sides of Skyline that when he developed, he paid a prorated share of Skyline Drive. I understand what we're doing today. We're not only buying the property, but we're not encumbering any kind of 3-foot holding strip to recuperate the money to put improvements in. Is that correct? Does anybody know?
You'll come up after you're done. Go ahead and finish
So anyway, that's one of my questions. Then recently, as of just Friday, as long as I've known, there was no flag lots being allowed in Weber County. You had to have 100 feet of frontage on a street to put a lot in. Friday, I see a plan for 4 lots going in on a 20-foot street with no fire turnaround. So I've done some checking. I've checked with Brandon at the fire department. He's fine with it. Apparently it meets some new standard, but it just seems like a conflict of what, my neighbor spent 1.5 years getting a lot put in because he was 4 inches short. I had to quit claim deed some ground to him out of my sister-in-law's property to get the 100 feet. We later on found out that the 100 feet was measured 30 feet back from property line. We didn't have to do it, but it took literally months and months to figure that out because it was considered a flag lot at 99.8 feet. And now it appears that the rules have changed again. So there's just those couple of issues that, one, as a taxpayer, I don't know why I'm paying to develop someone else's property when I frankly spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. Granted, they may not want to, but I've never seen a piece of property that gets divided by a road that doesn't eventually get something on both sides of that road. So anyway, those were just some questions I had I'd like to get answered. Okay.
Those are some questions I think Sean should be able to address.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Sean.
The development that Mr. Comby's referring to is called Mountains Edge Subdivision. It's a 4-lot subdivision that was recently submitted to our office. It is going to be, or it has frontage off of a new section of Skyline Drive that will be developed, and one of the lots would also potentially have access off of Comby Road, but there are some elevation issues and some access issues there. So what they are proposing to do is use a 20-foot wide access easement for all of the lots essentially, but it'll be a driveway for 2 of the lots across their own front property lines. The 2 lots furthest to the east will use that 20-foot wide access as the main access to their properties. For one of those lots, it's because they can't access off of Comby Road. The other lot just doesn't have any road frontage. There's a difference here between what is considered a flag lot and what is considered a lot using a private right-of-way. And the difference is that a flag lot actually owns fee title to the strip of property that it uses to go back where the lot opens up, where the building will take place. In this case, the 2 property owners that will be using that access strip, the private right-of-way, do not own that. And they're just being granted a right to use that for those lots. So our code calls out how wide that has to be, it has to hold 75,000 pounds for a fire truck. It has to have certain improvements associated with it. I guess it's my understanding that they are planning to meet all of the requirements they have to meet, but I'm not incredibly familiar with this. I don't spend a lot of my time now delving into the details of these projects, especially where this one was just recently submitted. But I'm happy to sit down with Mr. Comby and bring our planners in that are handling this and go through everything.
That's probably the best remedy here because we are, of course, in a public meeting and this is not an item on our agenda. So as a commission, we won't be able to discuss it. So why don't you get with Mr. Comby and address that after the meeting?
Great.
Okay. And there was one other issue as well. Will you catch him with that as well? Or have him remind
you? Oh, the holding strip.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know a lot of details on that. We'll have Jared Anderson. I'll pull Jared down and have him talk to Corey on that. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'll be interested to hear about flag lots because that's something different that I was here to believe. So.
Okay.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah. In this case, they're not.
And it's
they
not
look like a flag lot, but they're not one.
It's not a recent change.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to our last item, which is to assign the Pledge of Allegiance. let's have Scott, will you do that for us next time? Lead us in the pledge?
Sure, assuming our conversion is going well.
Assuming it's
He's gonna
going
be
well,
busy
we'll do
that
somebody
day.
else.
Yeah, let's do somebody
We'll get
else.
Sean. Sean, will you do it for us?
Pledge next week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes.
Yep. All right, and the thought of the day, Matthew. James. Oh, yeah, you're gonna take care of that. All right, and finally, our final item on the agenda, after we tell you Merry Christmas.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned.